Obviously, good to get on the board, but a couple of injuries. Can you give us an update on Will and Jared?
Yeah, Will had an operation yesterday on his jaw, so he's out for 4 weeks. And Jared McVeigh hurt his quad, and he's probably out from anywhere between 6 to 8.
So Will, did he have a plate inserted, or what sort of?
I'm not actually sure the technical parts of the operation, other than the doctor just told me he had an operation, and I spoke to him before he went in. Obviously I didn't talk to him afterwards. He would have been pretty sore. So, the advice is about 4 weeks.
Just obviously disappointing for both, but Jared a long-term one when he was looking pretty good.
Yeah, Will's obviously an important goal kicker and has been since he came into the team. He's a fantastic young player, and so disappointing to lose him. And Jared obviously, certainly on the weekend again, was really good with his work down back, his organisation, but also his ball use. But so 2 players out of the team, but there's a couple underneath that we're confident that will be able to come in and fill those roles for us. Well, we haven't had time just yet to sit down and have the match committee, so we'll do that this afternoon and get our head around that this afternoon. But there was some good performances in our reserves. A number of players played well in our reserves. We kept a couple back in that last quarter, obviously going into the 5-day break, and we had so it's something we'll be discussing this afternoon.
Roe Bottom was one that looked particularly good on the weekend. Is he one that you would look at?
Yeah, Roe Bottom, Rose, Kieran Jack played again. So there's a number of players that went through that pulled up well and performed well. So we're confident we've got some players underneath there from the weekend that can come into our team.
Watch the A-League on Saturday night, John?
No, I was flying back from Melbourne.
Yeah. What happened to you though, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I caught up with it. Yeah, I read the paper. Yes.
What's it like out there? Are you worried about Thursday night?
Well, it's we've been training on it. We've been, from what I understand, it's all been fine. The AFL are checking it regularly, and we're really they're the ones that make the decision on what needs to be done to the ground. We're mindful of it. We try and utilise the standard of the surface when we're training on it to keep off any of those areas that we can. But to be fair, we've been doing that for a number of years, and with a wicket base in the middle of a ground, it's something that we've always been mindful of, and it'd be great. And obviously, we support a drop-in wicket if that was part of the discussion. It's certainly very important to discuss it. It's a 12-month-a-year venue, and if that's part of the discussion going forward, we'd obviously support it. We've been speaking to the SCG Trust and the AFL for a number of years in regards to that, and hopefully it's a consideration going forward.
Has the club spoken to the SCG Trust about a particular incident in the A-League over the weekend?
I'll leave that to Tom Harley. So Tom's in constant dialogue with the SCG Trust, but in the end we've been trying to work as much as we can with the SCG and the groundsman to be able to keep our training venue out there, because it's the only spot we've got to train at the moment. So we've been mindful of it. We move the drills around and understand as much as we can that the workload's gone up on the ground. But the centre wicket area has always been a challenge, and that's why the MCG has done what they've done, and obviously Adelaide Oval have done what they've done as well. So it's something that's absolutely topical and needs to be discussed.
There's almost 2 football games a week this month between NRL, AFL, A-League and Super Rugby on the SCG pitch. Does that come into play when you determine how you use the pitch for training?
Oh, we try and work with the ground staff, because they've been good at letting us on there, because the facts are if we aren't on there, we've got nowhere to train. So we have to train on the SCG, and that's a broader discussion for venues in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. We look forward to getting a new training venue, getting on there in a couple of weeks, but up until now we've only had one spot to train, and that's been on the SCG. Nowhere else is there to train.
What is the objection to a permanent pitch?
Oh, you'd have to speak to the SCG Trust.
No, but what is it that affects you, the footy team?
Oh, sorry?
Training. Yeah, what's your objection to
having permanent?
Yeah, what does it do? Yeah.
Oh, it's just slippery.
Slippery.
Yeah.
Not hard, slippery.
Oh, it's hard and slippery. It's hard and slippery. You can be both.
Yeah.
And so just getting traction when you're running through the middle is it gets hard and slippery through the. That's what all the centre wickets are like.
Do you ever have concerns for the safety of your players out there?
We work with the ground staff on making sure that we spread the load, and that's all we can do. You know, we've been training out on the SCG for a number of years and playing there obviously, and that's all we can do. And we leave those decisions with the AFL and the AFL Players Association to keep monitoring. And when you've training out there as often as what we do, we try and work with the ground staff to make sure we spread the load and understand that you know, others will make those decisions on what needs to be under the ground, but we'll try and do our bit and help out.
So do players sort of ever self-regulate out there, knowing what the wicket area is like, and you know, don't hit full steam over the centre area? Like, does that run through their heads, do you think?
Well, it ran through our heads when I was playing the MCG, when I was, you know, a number of years ago, or you played on cricket wickets anywhere. That's sort of something to be mindful of. So it's something to be mindful of here. They re-turf it, they put turf on top, so they do whatever they can. They try and mitigate those challenges as much as they can. But ultimately, you know, the cricket wicket is still there, and you know, I understand all the discussion about drop-ins and cricket wickets in the summer, but it's a 12-month-a-year venue. We want to give you know, this turf out there the best opportunity to shine, and you know, from my understanding and discussions with the SCG, that's what they're trying to do.
So with the extra load, John, this year with the other sports coming on, has that exacerbated the issues you're talking about with the centre wicket, or is it's always been that issue? It's
always been there from an AFL perspective. There's nothing new in that. So it's always been there. Ideally, you know, the winter codes would appreciate having just the same turf all over the ground. We understand we've got compromises. They play obviously a lot of cricket here. It's always been an issue and a challenge and a discussion point. It gets highlighted now because there's more traffic here, and every weekend there's a game here, whereas that hasn't been the case in the past.
Did the Swans get consulted about the extra sports coming on this year, or is it completely?
Not that I know of. I mean, once the ground gets knocked over, they've got to go somewhere and they've got to play somewhere. So here's obviously the spot. So you know, we appreciate the SCG Trust and what they've been doing with their new training venue. So we appreciate that. But it's, you know, it's obviously there's a fair bit of workload on him.
Isaac, his ankle seems to be getting better.
Yes. Yeah, he hurt his ankle in that last JLT game and dodged a significant injury. So we were quite relieved after that game. But he's been training with that for a couple of weeks. He certainly felt really good last week going into the game. His performance was fantastic. We thought a few of those, our leaders in particular, were very strong in a number of regards on the weekend. They really committed themselves to the contest and played a really good, strong team brand of footy. And Isaac was just one of those boys, but in general our leaders really played well.
I think always talk about Isaac moving more into the midfield, though it still must be tempting to play him up forward because he can take those marks and give you a real target and presence up there.
Yeah, I get asked about it a lot. He plays both and always has, so over the last couple of years. So if he's forward and taking marks, it's fantastic. If he's you know, in the midfield and not getting the ball, it's why isn't he forward or whatever. So I can't get caught up in that too much. He'll play where the team needs him to play and perform where he needs to perform.
Do you expect Lance to do the main session this week on the short turnaround?
There won't be many of them do the whole session, and that's only natural. I mean, we saw what Geelong were able to do off a 5-day break. We'll get our boys in the best possible condition they can. You know, we'll do what we need to do to get them moving, but we understand it's not going to be a normal week in regards to their preparation and training time, but that's understandable. That's part of the adjustment that we'll make. We're confident we'll be able to do that.
Have you seen anything to suggest they won't play Thursday, Lance? Like, you were probably concerned in pre-season about a 5-day turnaround and how he'd handle it, but it looks like he's in much better shape than you might have predicted.
Yeah, he's been able to put a number of training sessions together now, so probably was unsure in the pre-season, you know, at this point in time how many training sessions he'd be able to do, how he'd pull up in a 5-day break, but he's in pretty good nick. So he's been able to train. He was able to train last week, both sessions, and pull up really well. So that's a really good sign going into the game.
Expect Heath Grundy to be available, John, or is that short turnaround?
No, I think Heath will be out for still another couple of weeks. His back's still not 100%, so we're going to try and take the time now to get it right. So he's still a few weeks away, so we'll make sure we get his back right before he comes back in and plays.
Sammy Naismith's still on track for about round 6 or around that?
No, he's a bit delayed now. He's upping his training probably next week. We're not quite sure yet. He's had a slow build up. He's had a couple of minor setbacks on the way through, so You wouldn't expect to see him probably until the second half of the year.